Money is definitely a big piece of it. If you can't get financing, you can't get a deal done. And if you don't underwrite it well, you're not going to get the financing, you're not going to get the equity, and you can't move forward. So it doesn't matter how much you love a deal. If you can't make those pieces on the capital side work, it's never going to move.
You've looked at a ton of deals, and I'm curious to see how many deals you think it would take to look at to find one where you actually move forward with it.
When I was at NRI, I looked at a ton of deals, like more than 100. And then since starting Castello, we looked at, or currently are looking at, deals every week, every couple of weeks at least. Some of them we spend a little bit more time on them. Some of them we spend a lot less time on. But I would say I only want to have a certain number of deals going at any given time. That might be 1, 2, or 3, maybe at the most. And even with NRI's team, where we had a lot of capital backing and we had a much larger team than we do at Castello, we did about $750 million worth of projects, but we only were doing 3 at a time. And so we were only doing 3 at a time, and we looked at, like I said, well over 100 over the course of a couple of years. And so that's a deal every 3 days, probably, that we were looking at.
And I'm sure there's a few components that make it so that you would carry forward with the deal. Of course, financial reasons, but also just the flexibility and timing. So what would you say is the most important component of making the decision to move forward?
The money is definitely a big piece of it, right? If you can't get financing, you can't get a deal done. And if you don't underwrite it well, you're not going to get the financing, you're not going to get the equity, and you can't move forward. So it doesn't matter how much you love a deal. If you can't make those pieces on the capital side work, it's never going to move. And so there are a lot of good deals, quote unquote, good deals that people fall in love with that never end up happening because of that. Beyond the money, one of the other things that really kills deals is the additional due diligence, right? So something might look good on paper, might look good at first, but then you dig into it and there are certain aspects that will ruin your ability to move forward.
And what would some of those aspects be?
One in particular that we ran into at NRI was, so one of them that we looked at NRI was a political situation that we weren't able to move forward with. And this actually happened on one of the deals that I looked at when I first started Castello as well. There were politics that were happening in the particular cities, and one of them, a congressperson, had gotten involved and didn't want an area to have additional new types of growth. And so that was up in Orlando, that happened. And then another one was over in Nashville. Nashville was booming, but there were other things that were swaying certain neighborhoods to have more or less growth. And a big part of that was the community involvement, not necessarily the public pushback, but what the politicians thought was best for the community and I think where their bases are. And so those are some of the things that you don't even really see if you run a due diligence report, but can ultimately kill the opportunity for you.